Hello. This is Antje from Byte Shuffle. Thank you for always watching our videos. This time, I've put together a summary on how to navigate the Death and Taxes matchup when playing Doomsday, as well as considerations for sideboarding. There's also a link to the pile breakdown video in the description, so feel free to check it out. Here is the deck list we will be using this time. Since I've seen Yai on Sky Nomad, it's highly likely that my opponent is on Death and Taxes. I'm going to mulligan because I want a faster hand. I'll keep this hand because if I find Doomsday off ponder, I should be able to go all in. I put Brainstorm and Lotus Petal on the bottom. I'll dig for Doomsday. I stacked the cards in the order: Unearth, Dual Land, Doomsday, then drew. I'm going all in. From here, I'll increase the mana needed for the combo. Since I've seen Wasteland on the opponent's side and I don't have any lands, I'm putting Lion's Eye Diamond into the pile. My opponent probably has removal in hand, so I'm planning to fill the rest of the pile with cyclers. However, if they play Orcish Bowmasters next turn, I might not have enough life left, so I'm also including Consider in the pile as insurance. I built the pile in the order: Thassa's Oracle, Street Wraith, Consider, Street Wraith, Lion's Eye Diamond. I'll cast Edge of Autumn in response. Before sideboarding, I'd like to review the list we used. First, the conclusion. I will explain it step by step. Here are the cards in Death and Taxes that can impact Doomsday. First, there's Thoughtseize. If it's played on my opponent's turn 1 on the play, I'll respond by using my draw sources to dig for combo pieces and adjust accordingly. Next, there's Disruptor Flute. I can use ritual-based mana acceleration to cover the additional costs. And I can also play around it by putting Thassa's Oracle into the graveyard with Consider and bringing it back with Unearth. Next is Deafening Silence. If it gets dropped on my opponent's turn 1, I think the best plan is to deploy Lotus Petal on turn 1 and aim to cast Doomsday on turn 2. Against these cards from my opponent, I'll bring in Consign to Memory and Force of Negation. Consign to Memory isn't strictly necessary since it's a bit narrow in its applications, but I included it this time because the cards I'd otherwise side out are even less impactful. Instead, I'll take out Cavern of Souls. I'll also cut Omen of the Sea. That's because I'm going for a speed-focused combo plan this time, and 2-mana draw sources like Omen of the Sea are too slow and clunky for that strategy. And I'll take out the One Ring as well. That's because in this matchup, it's more important to execute the combo quickly than to generate card advantage. To be honest, I almost feel like cutting all copies entirely. Next, there's Orcish Bowmasters and Hate Bears like Spirit of the Labyrinth. My duress can't deal with Hate Bears, so I'm siding it out. If Spirit of the Labyrinth comes down, I won't be able to draw extra cards at all, and given that Orcish Bowmasters sees higher play rates, I'll focus my explanation on Orcish Bowmasters this time. Since I lose life with every draw, I'll need to avoid drawing as much as possible and instead work through the pile by playing out its cards directly. Specifically, I can use cards like Consider or Fetch lands, as well as Edge of Autumn and Surveil lands, to work through the pile. Next, there's Mindbreak Trap. As long as I don't cast 3 or more spells in a turn, my opponent can't cast it for free. If I stop at casting Doomsday after using ritual-based mana acceleration, I can ignore Mindbreak Trap entirely. When you're about to cast 3 or more spells, it's a good idea to check your hand carefully and weigh your options. I'm going to mulligan because I want a faster hand. I'll mulligan because I don't have any lands. At this point, it seems better to mulligan and look for a hand with a land, Dark Ritual, and Doomsday, so I'm going to mulligan. I'll mulligan because I'm missing lands. I put Thassa's Oracle, Force of Will, Street Wraith, and Lotus Petal on the bottom. I'll play out Lotus Petal first. I'll check the top of my library first with Brainstorm. I'll back it up with Force of Will. I stack the cards in the order: Thoughtseize, Doomsday. I was rewatching the video and thought I was going to go all in here, but I guess I wasn't in my right mind at the time. The Surveil effect put the card into the graveyard. And this is where the adventure came to an end. I'm going to mulligan because I want a faster hand. I put Ponder on the bottom. I'll scout ahead with Hand Disruption. I took Disruptor Flute. I'll dig for Dark Ritual. I didn't find it, so I'm shuffling. The Surveil effect put the card into the graveyard. The Surveil effect put the card into the graveyard. I'll draw a card with a Cycler. I'll counter it with Daze. I'll dig for Dark Ritual. I stacked the cards in the order: consider dual land. I'll dig for Dark Ritual. I didn't find it, so I'm shuffling. I'll counter it with Daze. I'm going all in. From here, I'll increase the mana needed for the combo. Right now, I don't think my opponent has either Orcish Bowmasters or Disruptor Flute in hand. However, since I'll have to pass the turn, there's always a chance they could draw into those cards off the top of their library. There's also the possibility that my opponent has a second copy of Wasteland. Because of that, I'm planning to build a pile that plays around Disruptor Flute, Orcish Bowmasters, and Wasteland. When going off while leaving cards in the pile, I won't be able to win if my opponent is holding up removal. If my opponent isn't fully tapped out, I'm planning to go for it using Unearth combined with Force of Will. That's why I'll set up the sequence of Consider Thassa's Oracle Unearth, to play around my opponent's Disruptor Flute and a potential second Wasteland. I'll include Force of Will as the fourth card in the pile in case my opponent is holding up removal. I'll place a second copy of Thassa's Oracle as the fifth card in the pile, in case my opponent has more removal than expected. I built the pile in the order: Thassa's Oracle, Force of Will, Unearth, Thassa's Oracle, Consider. The Surveil effect put the card into the graveyard. I'll win the game with Thassa's Oracle. I'll counter it with Force of Will. Lastly, I have an announcement. I'm posting the concepts behind the images used in my videos, as well as small flavor-inspired stories, in the YouTube community section. Additionally, I'm selling merch for the channel through the link in the description. If you're interested, be sure to check it out. Thank you for watching up to this point. I apologize for the many play mistakes. I hope to improve at MTG together with everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel and giving it a thumbs up. See you next time. This is Antya.